Buying a quality watch does not have to cost a fortune. And I'm also a firm believer that you don't need to spend thousands to buy a watch that you can actually be proud of, because the reality is that some of the most beloved, iconic, most well-designed and reliable watches out there cost less than $600. And especially in 2025, and I know we're getting into the end of the year now, but there are some movements out there, again, under $600, which have incredibly reliable movements that are really well designed in the case that the actual watch will probably never go out of fashion and it will always be in style because it's so classic. And also, the brands actually have history. They have a story to tell. So I wanted to make a video to share, in my humble opinion, the 5 most affordable watches out there to give you the best watch for your money. And we're talking every single occasion. We're kind of building the ultimate 5 watch collection. And this 5 watch collection is going to include everything from a rugged diver to an everyday workhorse to an elegant chronograph to a beautiful dress watch, and also something a little extra special from the micro brand world right at the end. Also, before we dive in, if you have any watches that you've either bought or that you know of that are under $600, feel free to pop them in the comments. I'm sure other people will appreciate it, and I most certainly will appreciate checking them out. Thank you in advance. Okay. First up, the everyday watch. Now, this watch needs to truly do it all, from a weekend adventure to a day in the office. It needs to do everything. It needs to go with you everywhere, or potentially go with you everywhere. And for me, when I think about a watch that can do anything and go anywhere, the first thing that comes to mind is the Hamilton Khaki field mechanical watch. This is a watch that, if you've seen the film Interstellar, it's kind of ingrained in your mind as just being incredibly cool. If you haven't seen Interstellar, where on earth have you been hiding? Now, this watch is a faithful recreation of the watches Hamilton produced for the US military. It has a tough bead-blasted stainless steel case and is powered by a hand-winding movement that has, wait for it, an 80-hour power reserve. It's incredibly thin on your wrist, so you don't really even realize you're wearing it most of the time, and it can literally go anywhere with you. So if you appreciate a watch which is kind of minimal, that you can wear everywhere and do anything with, and that also has a little bit of history behind it, and also is connected to a pretty cool film, then the Hamilton might be for you. Next in this category, we've got this absolute knockout from Seiko, the 5 Sports GMT. Now, when Seiko first released this, it was actually pretty remarkable, to be honest. They managed to pack a true mechanical GMT movement into their iconic Seiko 5 Sports watch platform for under $500. Now, this at the time felt like a little bit of a game changer. Available in 7 different colors, including a striking orange and a classic blue and black Batman style, this watch offers a complication that you shouldn't really be seeing in a $500 watch. And finally, in this category, I have possibly one of the most versatile watches ever made. I present to you the Tissot Gentleman. Now, this watch is one of those watches that kind of straddles the line between dressy and sporty absolutely perfectly. It has 100 meters water resistance, so it's perfect for daily wear, but its polished detail and refined dial just make it perfect to wear with a suit. Now, while the automatic version of the Tissot Gentleman kind of goes to around $800 and $900, so it's a little bit outside our budget for this video, the quartz version, which looks exactly the same, identical finishing, comes in at under $600, which in all fairness is very difficult to complain about. Now, for possibly the most popular category of watch out there, the dive watch. And if we're talking about dive watches under $600, we have to kind of mention the Seiko icon, the Seiko Prospex Turtle. With its distinctive cushion-shaped case, this watch is instantly recognizable. It's a true dive watch with 200 meters water resistance, incredible lume, and an automatic movement. Now, despite the case being 45 millimeters in diameter, it actually wears fairly small on the wrist, and this is due to the lug-to-lug measurement being fairly compact. But, as always, I would advise you to go to a boutique to check it out yourself to make sure it feels right for you. Now, the next watch is one that professional divers actually use, the Citizen ProMaster Diver. Now, for some reason, people tend to just lean towards Seiko, and I'm not sure why. I actually think that Citizen is often overlooked, and quite unfairly. Their quality control is fantastic. Their lume is absolutely out of this world, and the ProMaster is a perfect example of this. Many versions of the Citizen ProMaster actually include Citizen's Eco Drive technology, which basically means that it's powered by light, meaning you never have to really reset it, it's always just on, and you don't have to worry about battery changes. And with its unique serrated bezel inspired by the Japanese pufferfish, this watch has a ton of character and is a solid, reliable tool if you ever fancy a dip. Now, in the world of chronographs under $500, if you want something which has incredible technology and also a little bit of history, then the Belova Lunar Pilot may be worth checking out. Now, this isn't just any other moon watch. During the Apollo 15 mission in 1971, David Scott's Omega Speedmaster failed miserably, which means that he actually had to use his Belova chronograph as a replacement whilst on the moon. And this modern version that we can buy today for less than $500 is a tribute to that little piece of history. But the story isn't even the most special thing here. The watch is powered by Belova's proprietary high-frequency quartz movement, which vibrates 8 times faster than your average quartz movement, which means this particular watch only loses a couple of seconds every single year. Now, what this also means is when you look at the second hand going around the dial, you can see it going around in a nice smooth motion, almost like a mechanical watch. Now again, this is a large commanding watch. However, check it out in person because it does wear a little bit smaller than you might expect. Now, I know we've covered more than 5 watches, but there are 2 more watches that I have which I think could really add to pretty much anyone's collection. And I think one of them specifically could be a fantastic and kind of underappreciated dress watch. Now, if you want something that really stands out from the mainstream, you either have to spend a lot or you can go to the world of micro brands. And the reality is, if you've never bought from a micro brand before, then you could be missing out big time because there is so much value there. There is so much creativity happening from an aesthetic standpoint. And quite simply, there are just some beautiful watches for you to choose from at a great price. And yes, these are much smaller companies, but they have some really exciting designs. And because they're not kind of restrained by the conservative approach that some of these bigger companies need to take, the designs are just so much more edgy, and you can find some really special pieces. And although it could be argued that Baltic isn't a micro brand anymore, the MR1 is an incredible piece of work. Now, this watch took the micro brand community by storm. Now, pretty much everyone appreciated this watch. You know, they may not buy it, but they can see that it's a beautiful watch. You can appreciate a great watch. It's got this nice vintage design going on with this textured dial, but that's not even the best part. The real star, at least in my humble opinion, is the movement. When I first saw this movement, I was like, okay, where did they get that movement from? As someone who actually designs watches and has a watch company, I was mesmerized by how beautiful the little micro rotor was in that movement that they use in the MR1. And micro rotors are quite rare in watches in general, but in the micro brand space, it was pretty much unheard of. And never mind at the price point, you know, you can't really look at this movement and say, nah, that's not worth $600. Like, that doesn't look nice to look at. You can't really say that. If you do, then, you know, I'm not sure what to say to you, to be honest. Now, another fantastic choice that I know the micro brand guys love is the Laurier Falcon. I think that this watch has a lot of people behind it. It's a watch that is very difficult not to like. And I'm not saying that the watch is for everyone, but I'm just saying that from a distance you can appreciate it if you don't want to buy it. That's all I'm saying. I feel like the watch is a little bit of a masterclass in terms of vintage design, but in a way that feels classy. It feels sophisticated. Like if you wore the watch in a nice setting, you wouldn't look out of place. It features a stunning waffle textured dial and comes in at 36 millimeters in diameter, which for me personally is a little bit too small. I have a 6.5 inch wrist, so it might be pushing the boundaries of being a little bit too small for me. But if it was a little bit bigger, maybe 38, maybe 37.5 at a push, I would be able to consider it. It's got a really nice domed acrylic crystal, which really adds to that vintage vibe. And I think this watch in particular, and the Baltic as well, has just really proven that these, you know, smaller companies, although, you know, obviously they're not the tiniest of companies, but, you know, they're not as big as the likes of Seiko and Citizen, they can really get in the ring with the big boys, and often in terms of design at least, and certainly value for money, really beat them in those 2 areas. So whether you're looking for something just as kind of a casual everyday watch, or a nice dressy watch, or something that is, you know, ready for the water, then you should have a couple of watches from this list to choose from, check out, try on, and maybe consider. And best of all, you can get a cracking watch with a reliable movement that looks great without breaking the bank. And also as well, it's pretty much impossible to hate someone that's wearing one of these watches that I've just mentioned. Like, they are incredible value, and if anything, it just shows that you're really smart with your money, and also you appreciate great value. But these watches are just my opinion, so if you have any watches that you want to share with me in the comments, then please let me know. I would love to check them out and learn more about different watches that are out there. But apart from that, I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.